Hello, welcome to the course Advanced Java Programming. I'm the instructor of the course and my name is Kobra Amiri Zirto. I'm a PhD student in Computer Science department and my research interest is natural language processing and deep learning. Well, let's see what is the objective of this lecture. In this lecture, we are going to learn some important features of the Java language. For example, when this programming language originated and who was the first one who created this programming language, and what are some important characteristics of Java programming language that makes it different from other programming language. In the next part, we are going to learn about compiling and running of the Java programming language. How this programming language would be compiled. Is it the same as other programming languages like C and C++ that are compiled, no, once from the code to the machine code or not? And then we are going to learn about some benefits of the Java. What are the benefits of Java that makes it different from other programming languages like C++? In the next section, we are going to learn some benefits of C++. What are some good points about C++ that makes it different from Java? And by knowing these two parts, you are going to learn a lot about how Java and how C++ are different from each other. In the next section, I will explain some important Java tools. And finally, I will provide a table for you that gives you the differences from Java and C++ in more details. So let's see the first part, which is the Java language. Well, let's learn some features of this widely used programming language. Okay, first, it's good to know that this programming language was created by a person named James Gosling in 1989. Java has been evolved from C++. I think that majority of you already know what is C++ and you know how to write the code in this programming language. So if you know C++, then you already know the majority of the syntax of Java because Java and C++ both has too much in common in their syntaxes. The other property of Java is that this programming language is object-oriented. If this phrase is an unfamiliar phrase for you, I'm going to explain it in next slides. The other property is that Java originally named Oak, but when they recognized that there is already a programming language named Oak, they decided to change its name. Java is a portable or a cross-platform programming language. I'm going to explain this one as well in this lecture in the next slides. So please be patient and continue learning. So let's see how this programming language would be compiled. The majority of you have already taken the C++ code and you know how to write the code and how to program with this programming language. C++ is not portable. So when you write the code in C++, the C++ code would be compiled with the compiler into the machine code. So the resulting executable is machine specific. But that's not the same for Java. When you write the code in Java, those Java code would be transferred, compiled into an intermediate level, which is called bytecode. Then, that bytecode would be interpreted with Java Virtual Machine or JVM into the machine code. So that's why we say Java is cross-platform or portable. So when you write the code in Java, you can run it on different types of machines, whether it's Linux, it's Unix, it's Windows or Mac OS. Just you need to have the appropriate JVM. That's the reason Java is called cross-platform or portable. So let's see what are the benefits of Java. The first benefit is that Java provides a very huge collection of packages in SDK. So based on the programmer you can use the appropriate package for your application. So that's a very good point about Java. And in fact, There are several APIs. In the APIs, there are some pre-built packages and classes that programmers can use them instead of writing down all of the packages and classes individually and manually. You can easily use those predefined packages and classes. So it makes programming very easier for programmers. The other good advantage of Java is GUI. So GUI in Java makes it very easier to create the programs. We are going to learn more about GUI in this course, so if that's a very unfamiliar notion for you, that's fine. And I can make you sure that you are going to learn in the next sessions and you will use them as well. The other good benefit of Java is that this programming language has some special syntaxes that makes it way easier to use. For example, it doesn't have pointer notation. You probably have written so many programs in C or C++, and you know that in this programming language, some parts is using the pointers, but in Java, the good news is that you are not going to use the pointer. The other good point about Java and writing programs with Java is that in the syntax part, objects and arrays are created dynamically. So you have a main class, and then by having the main class, you will use the word new, and by using that word, you can create a new sample from that class, which is called object. I know that probably some of you may not be familiar with, for example, what is object or what is class. So don't worry about that because in next sessions I will explain them in more details. The other good advantage of Java is its JRE or Java Runtime Environment. So what is exactly JRE? JRE makes this programming language in a way that it has automatic garbage collection. So you, as a programmer, don't need to deallocate memory for variables or for objects. The JRE handles all of these tasks by itself. So you can see that how much Java has made the job of programmers easier. And the other good thing is Java has a special behavior which is called polymorphic and automatic dynamic binding. So these notions are very unfamiliar notions for you, but we are going to talk about these notions in the future lectures. Just I want to know you in this lecture to have a general idea about what is Java and what are the great features of Java that makes it different from other programming languages like C++. Well, let's see what are some benefits of C++ over Java. The first one is that programmer has more control and power in C++. What it means? In the previous slides, I mentioned that programmers in C++ create pointers or allocate, deallocate spaces, memories for objects. So all of these actions makes programmer have more control over the program, what he or she wants to exactly do, and how much, for example, space he or she wants to assign to special object. The other benefit of C++ over Java is that this programming language runs faster than Java. You may ask, what is the reason? I told you that when you write some code in C++, those C++ code would be compiled with compiler directly to machine code. So that's one of the reasons that C++ is faster. The other reason is that C++ doesn't do dynamic allocation for objects. So dynamic allocation, which is one of the features of Java, is very time consuming because each time that programming language needs to allocate space for object and deallocate that. But for C++, we don't have this situation. So C++ codes run faster. The other benefit of C++ is that C++ has some extra features like operator overloading or multiple inheritance. So what it means by operator overloading? It means when different operators have different implementations depending on their arguments. So that's a concept which we don't have in Java, and it's very useful in C++. So let's see what are some important tools in Java. The first one is Java compiler. So what Java compiler does is compiling Java code. When you write your code in Java, the compiler is responsible for creating the bytecode from Java code. Now you have bytecode. Next, Java interpreter, which is the next important tool of Java, is responsible for for creating the machine code from that bytecode. You know that what is a machine code. Machine code is a collection of bits, one and zeros, which is recognizable but by machine. So when you write a code in Java, in the syntax of Java, right, you write it once, you will compile it by Java compiler, you will have the bytecode. Now you can put that bytecode as an input for Java interpreter, which is machine specific for each machine. For example, it can be Linux or Windows, or it can be Mac OS. So the same bytecode can be inserted inside different Java interpreter, right? And the Java interpreters will create the machine codes, which, those machine codes are specific, right, for that machine. So a machine code for Linux is different from a machine code for example, Windows, or a machine code for Mac OS. So that's the reason we say Java is cross-platform or portable. You will have a 1 byte code. You will give that 1 byte code to different Java interpreters on different machines, and you can have the final result for that machine. The next Java tool is jar, or the jar archive utility. So what this tool does is that when you create your program, probably you will have different files, right? By writing down the classes and packages, you will create several files, so many files. So jar is responsible for compressing those files and creating one final compressed file. It's very useful, especially when you have a program, a very complicated program or application, and you are going to write down so many classes and packages and create a lot of files. So jar will compress those files, and now instead of having so many files which can, needs more space, right? You can have a final compressed file. So it's very good and useful, since it's very efficient, since you can use the space very efficient. Then you have JavaDoc. JavaDoc is another tool, and it's responsible for creating Java documentation APIs, right? So you have the APIs. By JavaDoc, you can create the API documentations in HTML format. So the benefit of that is that because it's in HTML format, so it can be recognizable by web pages, right? Then we have JSP, or Java Server Page. That's a tool that programmers use in order to create dynamic web pages. So JSP contains and have internal package and required tools for the programmers to create dynamic web pages. So that's a very good tool when you are interested to create web pages. The next tool is JRE, or Java Runtime Environment, that we already talked about that, which is responsible for running the Java, right? And we said that it has several advantages, like automatic garbage collection and other good advantages that we talked about in the previous slides. And finally, we have J2 SDK, or Java 2 Standard Development Kit. So as you see here, it contains so many packages and classes, right? So by having J2K, you are able to develop the applications, and you already have all of the required packages to develop your application, and you don't need to create those manually. So these are some important Java tools that you need to know.